Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
This program was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I am so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you. Whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 150th episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. And because of that, I wanted to do something extra special. My husband Logan and I just celebrated our anniversary a few weeks ago. And so I wanted to have an episode all about traditional wedding anniversary gifts, but make it travel themed. I had a lot of fun with this episode, and I've actually been thinking about this for years. This is something that I kept thinking, like, in the back of my mind, I would love to do an episode about it. So I love the idea of a traditional wedding anniversary gift. But we don't do that. This year we didn't even give each other official gifts because we have made travel our anniversary gift, our birthday gifts, our Christmas gifts. That is what we do now. So we went to a tree house that I talked about last week that was Aladdin themed in Coleman, Alabama. And we also went to Sandals, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I love experiences. So for me, I'm at the point now where I would rather have two trips or a trip, some type of experience, going out, to dinner, making the memories, doing something together. That's what I'd rather have. So since we've been married for 18 years, I actually made a list of the first 18 traditional anniversary gifts. Now, I love hearing other people's anniversary traditions. I have one of my closest friends from college, one of their anniversary traditions is each anniversary in August, they go to a new state together. And so by the time they're married for 50 years, they'll have traveled to all 50 states, if not before, because they've traveled to some states already. So they're skipping the ones they've already been to or lived in. I think that's amazing. Other friends I have or clients I have, they might say every year they're picking a different Sandals resort or a new country. Maybe it's, every year they go to the same cabin in the mountains or the same condo at the beach. So, there's so many traditions that you can have. The first anniversary is paper. And so this one, if you just got married this year or you're getting ready to get married this year and you wanted to think of some ideas for, wedding anniversary gifts, this is going to give you a jump start for the next 18 years for sure. So be taking notes. And so the first one is paper. There's so many things for your first year then that you can do for that anniversary. If you don't already have passports, if you did not go on an international honeymoon, and that's okay because a lot of people go on a delayed honeymoon. That's a whole nother episode that I'd love to talk about. But passports would make the perfect gift for your first anniversary. And guess what? They're paper. You already have those passports, or maybe you're not quite ready to take the plunge for passports. Plane tickets, also paper, even though that's cheating a little bit because everything is pretty much digital now. I know I don't have paper tickets either until I get there and they print off my boarding passes. Still counts. We're going to count it. A framed map. Over our bed, Logan and I have an adventure map that has our name on it. It's a map of the world, and we have pins in it everywhere that we've been and everywhere that we want to go. So that's another idea. If you already have passports, if you're like, well, I don't want to do plane tickets, that's something that you could do. Photos from a past trip, photos from your honeymoon, whether it's getting them actually printed out to have them displayed in your home. Maybe it's a photo album. If you're like me, I take a ton of pictures. But I am not great at printing them out. So every year do a photo book for your anniversary. Even though it's not going to be paper every year, that's a great tradition to have. So lots of fun ideas for paper. I promise I'm not going to have as many for the others, but starting you off strong. You want to I'm telling you, as the anniversaries go, I feel like it gets easier. My expectations in a lot of ways have gotten more reasonable. That first year, ladies, I'm going to tell you, I had high hopes for our first anniversary. And so you want to set the precedents and start off strong. So I gave you several different ones there for your first year. And you can get those gifts too. You don't have to just wait on your husband to get you those presents. He doesn't have a passport yet. You can say, this is what we're doing as our joint anniversary present. All right, year number 2 is cotton. This is a really fun one. You can get a picnic blanket for day trips or weekend trips. I mean, you can have a whole picnic theme, right, where it's the blanket, the checkered blanket, and the basket. You could get personalized T-shirts for your anniversary trip. You could have robes, matching robes with your initials embroidered on them. I am going to get a set of sandals robes one of these days because I absolutely love them. Every time I go, I want to take one home, and you can buy them in the gift shops there. So there's lots of things with cotton. Year 3 is leather. So you've got suitcases, makeup, toiletry bags. You could do a trip to Italy like we did for our 3rd anniversary without even realizing that year 3 was leather. I just wanted to go to Italy. And I told Logan, by the time we've been married for 3 years, Italy is on my bucket list. We're going to go. And so Florence is like the leather capital. We also went to Portugal where there's lots of leather goods there. Logan got a belt when we were in Portugal. But in Italy, purses, European shoulder bags, belts, wallets, lots of luggage made from leather. So you have a lot of great options there. So when in doubt, go to Italy for year 3. Year 4, also lots of fun. Fruit and flowers. So many fun, more domestic ideas for fruit picking. Apple picking in Virginia. Cherry picking in Michigan. Blueberry picking in Maine. Or you can go to the botanical gardens. You can go to see lavender farms. Tulip festivals. Depends on when your anniversary is for a lot of these, right? But so many great options for year 4. Year 5, also going to be a really easy one. Wood is the traditional anniversary gift. So I'm thinking cabin in the mountains or a treehouse stay. You know, I love tree houses, and there are so many incredible treehouse adventures within an easy drive from us in Mississippi. All right, year 6, little harder. This was a little challenging. It was iron/candy. I was like, that is a random combination, but never fear. For iron, a train ride. So whether it's in Alaska when you pair with an Alaskan cruise, or I've always wanted to go on a train ride through the Canadian Rockies. It could be something closer to home. Lots of great train options here. Scenic railroads we have in Branson, Missouri, Tennessee, like in Chattanooga, or Bryson, North Carolina. So, you could go to Sonoma, Wine Valley in California. So lots of train ride options. For candy, Hershey, Pennsylvania comes to mind. That was actually our 4th anniversary. So we're a little ahead. So we went to Hershey, Pennsylvania, where you can go to the Hershey Museum, the Hershey Factory, Hotel Hershey, where you can have a chocolate massage. I did it. It was amazing. One of my favorite spas I've ever been to. So those are some great ideas there. Oh, we're only on 7. Okay, I'm going to do 2 more. And then that'll probably be all the time we have for this week before we have to switch over to the podcast extended version. So for 7, wool and cotton. A few things come to mind. When I think wool, I think sheep. When I think sheep, I think Ireland. So my thoughts are Ireland would make an amazing anniversary trip. We actually did that for Logan's birthday trip the year before London was born. That's how long it's been since I've been to Ireland. So we're talking 14 years this summer. I've got to get back because it was amazing. Also, if you're wanting domestic, Williamsburg, Virginia. That is where my in-laws just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Williamsburg, I think of wool and copper because you have the blacksmiths and the sheep where they make everything there in front of you like it's a living museum. Branson, Missouri will be another idea because I think of Silver Dollar City. And you think of the artisans there. So with wool and copper, I thought of that. For your 8th anniversary, bronze. Now, at first I was like, okay, this is a challenge. Which could you do for bronze, travel related? I'm thinking museums because of the Bronze Age. Yes, that might have been a little bit of a stretch, but that would be a great year to go somewhere that you want to go to that has famous museums, whether that's D.C. or London, England, or New York. The Paris Metro has lots of bronze features. A lot of the buildings in New York, the Chrysler Building, New York Stock Exchange, so that could be a great year to go to New York City. Oh, I have so many more I want to share with you, 10 more years. But that is all the time we have for this week's episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. Tune in for the extended version, which we will share on our podcast. And until then, we'll see you next week. Remember, life is short. Take the trip, make those memories together. You won't regret it. All right, we're back for the extended episode of traditional wedding anniversary gifts, but make it travel. So we just finished bronze, which was year 8. And so we are on year 9, which is pottery and willow. Okay. So this is one that I came back to because my first thought for pottery was the Pottery Cafe in Pigeon Forge. I love that restaurant. It is great food, and it's all on handmade pottery. Well, then you think anywhere where you could go to buy pottery, you could turn that into an anniversary trip. The Mississippi Delta, famous for our pottery there. We have several great options. But then also I was thinking out west, especially like New Mexico, so Santa Fe, New Mexico, or Arizona, or San Antonio. So lots of really cool options out west for pottery. For willows, I think beautiful willow trees. Again, if you haven't been to botanical gardens, or if you've been to one and you wanted to go to another one, that gives you a lot of options. Also, when I think willow trees, I think England countryside. I also am thinking, like, you think weeping willows, you think country estates. Lots of options for there. Year 10 is tin, T-I-N, or aluminum. My first thought here, and it's a good one, so we're just going to stick with it, is a glamping trip. Now, I am not a big camper, but you could go camping. So if you're a big camper, then that's a great option for that too. You can get camping equipment, and that's the gift that keeps on giving, right? So that would be a really good one. But I'm more of a glamper. So I'm going to need like a dome. I want to see the stars. I'd like to have, a tub or a shower. So I'm talking Bolt Tree Farmhouse is my idea of glamping. A fancy tree house with running water, my idea of glamping. So that's another really good option. Year 11 is steel. So you could easily do other things, but for me, I think steel drums, and I think cruise. So for year 11, you could cruise anywhere in the world, and you're going to hear those steel drums at some point, but especially the Caribbean. Year 12, silk and linen. Oh, this is a really good one. So you could go somewhere where silk is famous, like India, Como, Italy, Lyon, France, right? You could go somewhere where, clothes, silk scarves, that you could buy silk or linen clothing, somewhere where you're going to have a new outfit to go, like lots of options there. Or you could even think somewhere, a Michelin star restaurant, fancy dinners with the linen tablecloths. Then you could be anywhere really in the world. So lots of options with year 12. Year 13 is lace. Very similar, right? So you could go somewhere that specializes in lace. Burano, Italy, which is one of the islands off the coast of Venice. They make lace there. Handmade Burano lace is amazing. You could go to the Caribbean, get bathing suit covers made of lace, dresses, shopping. So that could be New York, Paris, London, wherever you want, right? So you can think that. You could also think of somewhere with our ballet. So you can think, okay, their costumes have lace in them. So then that opens up some other options. Year 14 is ivory and gold jewelry. Now, it is not considered PC to buy anything in ivory anymore, right? It is harmful to the animals. But I'm thinking African safari where you're going and taking pictures of the elephants, right? So you're not buying something made of ivory. You're going and seeing the ivory when it's still on the original animal and he's still enjoying life. Also then, zoos. You could go to one of the most famous zoos in America, which is the San Diego Zoo and the San Diego Safari Park, which I like even more than the San Diego Zoo. You could also think of ivory, tickling the ivories, go to a piano concert. Not just any piano concert, but a famous pianist, a world-class pianist, whether you're going, to New York or another major city, or you're catching an orchestra event here in Tupelo, or at the Orpheum in Memphis. Lots of wonderful options. For year 15, Crystal, I thought one thing, and that was Crystal Palace, my favorite restaurant in the Magic Kingdom. So yes, you can go anywhere. Fancy dinners where you're having crystalware. Ireland also comes to mind for crystal, or somewhere where, beautiful chandeliers, crystal chandeliers. So lots of options there. My mind went to the Crystal Palace in Disney. Year 16 for anniversary is silver hollowware. So that makes me think tea sets. And when I think tea sets, I think England. But again, you could have high tea most places. A lot of cities now, whether you're talking Dallas, Atlanta, Charlotte, a lot of these cities have tea buses. And so if you're thinking, okay, I'm not wanting to go, overseas to Europe, although that would be great for an anniversary trip, all of these options, you can also do domestic ideas. That's why I'm trying to give you a mix of both. So definitely I thought of tea sets for year 16. Year 17, furniture, an antique shopping trip. New Orleans has one of the most famous antique shopping streets in the world. So that's a great option. It can also be, when I think furniture, I think bed and breakfast, because they usually have beautiful antique furniture. So that's another wonderful option for year 17. And year 18 is porcelain. So I'm thinking matching travel mugs for the location of where you're going to travel to together, or somewhere with a fancy porcelain tub, like a soaking tub on the balcony. Most Sandals resorts have this option where you can have a soaking tub on the balcony. And to me, that will count for porcelain all day long. I hope this gave you some fun ideas for anniversary trips. And as you can tell, I could do this with any traditional wedding anniversary gift you have. So if you've been married for any other amount of years besides 18, send me which year you've been married that you want to have a travel-themed wedding anniversary idea, and I will come up with an idea for you. That's all the time we have for our extended version of Talk Travel Heather Tate, our 150th episode of traditional wedding anniversary gifts, but make it travel. Have an amazing adventure, whatever you do this week. Life is short. Make those memories. Take the trip. You won't regret it.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.